This is our fifth and final lecture on abortion. So we've covered the standard debate, Marianne Warren's argument, Judith Jarvis Thompson's argument, Patrick Lee's argument, and now we'll look at Don Marquis' argument. And this is from his article, An Argument That Abortion is Wrong. And he starts out by saying, in order to understand why abortion is wrong, we must understand why killing one of us is wrong. And his claim is that what primarily makes killing wrong is neither its effect on the murderer nor its effect on the victim's friends and relatives, but its effect on the victim. So it's not that, the murderer is going to mar their soul, which is definitely true. It's not that the friends and relatives are going to be sad, even though that is true. It is that the victim is violated. And what happens is the loss of one's life is one of the greatest losses one can suffer, because it deprives you of all the experiences, activities, projects, and enjoyments that would otherwise have constituted your future. So this is why, according to Don Marquis, killing is wrong, because it deprives you of a certain future. So, therefore, killing someone is wrong primarily because the killing inflicts one of the greatest possible losses on the victim. What makes killing wrong? That it deprives you of a certain future. So this is sufficient but not necessary for the wrongness of killing. Meaning, depriving a person of a future guarantees the wrongness of killing, but it's not necessary. So killing might be wrong for some other reason, right? So it's sufficient for wrongness, but it's not necessary, because killing could be wrong for some other reason. And two, it does not have to be the sole reason why killing is wrong. So there could be many reasons why killing is wrong, in addition to the fact that it deprives you of a future. So here are some benefits of the account. It can explain the wrongness of killing non-human persons. They have a future like ours. So when you kill an alien who's intelligent, well, you've deprived them of a future like ours, or a future, a future of personal being. They can't make any plans anymore. They can't engage in, development of relationships, that sort of thing. It can explain why it's wrong to kill infants and children as well. So what makes it wrong to kill an infant? Well, you deprive the infant of a future like ours, 40, 50, 60 years of projects, experiences, relationships, etc. It can also explain the wrongness of killing non-human animals. Yes, they're not like us. They have a different sort of future, but it's sufficiently like ours that killing them is a serious wrong. Another way of putting it is it deprives them of a future like theirs, which is sufficiently like ours. So when you kill a rabbit, for example, you deprive them of a future like a rabbit future, relationships and, hopping around, eating celery, that kind of thing. Okay, so it explains why it's wrong to kill non-human persons. It explains why it's wrong to kill infants and children, and it explains why it's wrong to kill non-human animals. Of course, some killings might be justified, but then you'd have to talk about that, whether it's okay to kill a rabbit in spite of the fact that you deprive them of a future like theirs. Okay, here's the argument. Number one, it is wrong to deprive a being of a future like ours with experiences like projects, goals, aesthetic enjoyments, friendships, intellectual pursuits, and physical pleasures. Two, to kill the standard fetus is to deprive it of a future like ours. Therefore, it is wrong to kill the standard fetus. So when you kill the fetus, you deprive it of a future like ours. And since that's wrong, it's wrong to kill the fetus. So since a reason that is sufficient to explain why it is wrong to kill human beings after the time of birth is a reason that also applies to fetuses, it follows that abortion is prima facie seriously morally wrong. So let's respond to Don Marquis. Number one, Marquis' account makes it wrong to kill potential persons like the sperm and the egg, since they potentially have a future like ours. Well, the response is, this isn't a very good objection. When the sperm and the egg unite, they undergo a change in substance so that the sperm and the egg do not survive, but a new entity comes to be, that is, the human organism. So the sperm and the egg have no potential for a future like ours. They don't even exist past, the fertilization of the egg, right? Okay, so there is no potential for the fetus, the sperm and the egg to become persons, and so therefore number one doesn't work. Two, a necessary condition of one's future being valuable is that one values it. Value implies a valuer. Given this, one might argue that since fetuses cannot value their futures are not valuable to them. Hence, it does not seriously wrong them to deliberately end their lives. So the claim is that in order to be valuable, you have to be capable of valuing. So in order for your life to be valuable, you have to be capable of valuing your life. Since the fetus can't value their futures aren't valuable to them. Well, can't a person's future be valuable even if they don't currently value it? I think I'm of the opinion that even if a person doesn't value their future, it doesn't mean their future isn't valuable. That value is sort of an objective thing and isn't contingent upon the viewers valuing it. So, for example, a failed suicide attempt where the person goes on to live a good life. So you try to commit suicide, you fail, and then you go on and you lead a good life. You have family and relationships, and you have a good job, that sort of thing. When you were attempting to commit suicide, you didn't value your life, but your life was still valuable. And so there is a distinction between you valuing your life and your life being valuable. And the fact that you value it doesn't make it valuable. In fact, the fact that you value it, if you're right, is a recognition of value. Okay, let's look at the third objection. The fetus cannot be a victim because mental capacities are required for victimization, but the fetus lacks mental capacities. So the fetus doesn't have mentality at a certain point, and so it can't be a victim because it has to view itself as a victim, or it has to have the capacities, higher order mental capacities that allows it to experience pain and is conscious of its own victimization, that sort of thing. So the response is that mentality is not required for victimization. Can't we victimize the permanently unconscious or the severely mentally disabled? If so, then mental capacities are not required for victimization. So that's Don Marquis' case for the pro-life position, that when you kill a fetus, you're depriving it of a future like ours. And it's wrong to deprive something of a future like ours, therefore it's wrong to kill a fetus. And that is our final lecture on abortion.